Glory be to Allah, all praise to Allah. There is no God but Allah, Allah is great.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another episode dealing with True Peace, the Secret of Life. The series that we've been looking at over the last few weeks has been dealing with how you can find true peace and how to find the secret of life, and that is in learning how to be a good Muslim. We're looking into the world's fastest growing religion and the fastest sustainable belief system in the world, in fact in the entire universe. Islam is a sustainable religion. It is a sustainable belief system. What we mean by sustainable is that it is one that is held together with many different facets. It doesn't just rest on one doctrine or one belief only. And if you have to remove that, everything falls apart. So that's why we say it is a sustainable belief system. Christianity rises and falls on the belief that Jesus was raised from the dead. If you remove that, Christianity falls apart. In Islam, there are many facets to Islam. So we've been looking at Islam as a sustainable unit. And what we did last week is we started to begin to look at Islam and its belief system when it deals with morality and dealing with issues of character and behavior. And so inshallah, this week we will continue with looking at Islam as a system of morality, a system of how to deal with the outcomes of good character or good behavior. And last week, to sum up, good conduct or good behavior brings satisfaction in one's life. It brings harmony in your family. It brings harmony in your community. And most importantly, it brings harmony in your own sense of stability, because you feel more harmonious. You feel more balanced. You don't feel like you're going from one extreme to the other, like you're having to get on some antipsychotic or some antidepressant. Having a good conduct or having a good character makes you more sympathetic for those around you. It makes you more tolerant to those around you, have different views or different understandings to you. It helps you to be a better witness to those people around you. If you have a good conduct, you're a better da'i. You're able to respect people. You're able to be more honest in your dealings, not only in your character, but also in your business, in the way you deal with people in contracts. You know, sometimes we may be landlords or owners of properties, and we are very bad witnesses to Islam in the way we deal with those people who are hiring a property from us. So if we have a good conduct, then we will be more honest with them. We'll be more respectable to our tenants that we have. What about those people who perhaps have a business and somebody buys a product from you and they're paying it over in installments from you? What do you have on your contract? Does your contract say in the contract that you have with them, this remains my property until you have finished paying off the product that you purchases from me? This is not permissible. This is not permitted in Islam. So if you have good conduct, you will have a trust issue between the person who's bought that product and the person who is selling the product. So this is what will be the byproduct of having good conduct or having a good character. Having a good character will mean that you will be at peace with yourself and with your environment and with your community and with those around you, especially family members, which can be very difficult sometimes to do. Having a good conduct will make you have a unity with those who are around you, like a good brotherhood, a good ummah. This is very, very important. And of course, you'll have things like unity and justice, unity and brotherhood, unity and prosperity, and other things like that. So generally speaking, you will have satisfaction all around. But what is the impact of having a bad character, of having a bad temperament, of having a bad conduct? In other words, being that grumpy old man, or that person who always causes dissension in your community. Bad conduct will result in you not having any sympathy for people around you. You don't care what people think. You'll be intolerant. You will be a racist. You'll be disrespectful. You will always be that person causing arguments or destruction. Whenever you have a vote on something, you'll be that voice that goes against everybody else. However, there are times when there may be only one voice against something because all the rest of the people want to do something haram. So it's not always the case. But generally, sometimes if a person has bad conduct, they will be argumentative all the time. They want to have their own way. They want to be the one who wants to create hostility in the group. So you'll be antagonistic. You want to cause chaos with people around you. You'll be the person who wants to perhaps be a little bit dishonest and twist the truth and give half-truths. These are the things that happen when we have bad conduct. And you'll want to be a person who causes division. So in our human interaction, we want to be people who are honest, that are not deceitful, who are not people who are causing dissension. So if we look at the elements that make up a good belief system, there are human deeds that we want to participate in that will make us better people generally. So personally, how can we make ourselves better people? One is by having the correct belief system, the correct form of worship. Collectively, what can we do as a people? Collectively, we need to have the right belief system. In other words, just like we have a personal belief system, collectively as a society, as a community, we need to have the right ethical system, the ethical rulings that run our government or our country or our community. And the second part, as we did with our personal lives, we have a worship. We also have to have correct dealings with society. Worship in our private life and worship in our community, in our collective community. If we have the correct worship in our community and in our private lives, we'll be able to deal with people in a better and a more correct way, which will lead us automatically into obeying the Sharia. So what are the objectives of obeying the Sharia? What is the Sharia? What is the law? Sometimes we get worried when we hear that word Sharia. Many people get scared when they hear the word Sharia. Sharia is simply the words or the laws that Allah has given, that God has given to mankind to give us success in this life, to be successful, to be champions, to move forward. It's not something that is restrictive, but it's something that we should look at in a positive way, not something that is negative. It will protect our faith. It will protect our deen. It will protect the way that we are living our lives if we look at obeying the Sharia. So the objectives or the reasons that we follow the Sharia is that they protect our deen, they protect our faith, they protect our life, they protect our honor, they protect our livelihoods, they protect our intellect, it protects our property. These are all the things that are the objectives of the Sharia. The objectives of the Sharia are not to make our lives difficult, but to make our lives easy. These things protect us from harm. Obeying the law helps us to be safe. Just like we would have a security system in our home to protect us from burglars, this is what the Sharia does. It gives us early warnings to protect us from invading forces that would come and destroy us. So the Sharia is there to protect you, to give you hope. The fundamental principles of our lives should be fair dealings. The fundamental principles of the Sharia is to protect us. The fundamental principles of life in everything that we do should be fairness and honesty. We should be trustworthy. People should look at Muslims as being trustworthy, as keeping their promises, as being a group of people who support and promote justice in society and in their own communities. So the whole world, we have to be honest. We need to look at the fundamental principles of fair dealing in our societies and understand that we as Muslims need to be trustworthy. We need to be keeping our promises. We need to be people of justice. And we need to be dealing with people in correct financial decision making. This is one of the issues that is greatly lacking in our society today. We do not have enough conferences. Many places in the world you'll see conferences. You'll see proud Muslim conferences. You'll see conferences on how to do dawah. You'll see conferences on how to understand the hadith. You'll see conferences on all topics. But we very seldom find conferences on how to deal with financial dealings. And if there is a conference on financial dealings, they are so difficult for the layman to understand that he will not attend. And so you have these beautiful conferences put together, and the only people who come there are people who understand economics or the banks. But the people who actually should be there, you and me, are unable to go to these conferences because they are too difficult for us to understand. We need to have more conferences. My challenge is to those people who are sitting outside at home, make a conference in your community, start a conference in your community on financial dealings, how to make a contract for people who want to buy products in your shop. What contract should you write as a Muslim? When that person purchases a car from your car dealership, what must be on that contract? What is permitted to be on that contract? If you own a property and you are leasing that property out to your tenant, what is permitted to be on that contract? If you go to the bank and you believe that you are actually in a Sharia compliant bank, how Sharia compliant is that bank? Is there such a thing as a Sharia compliant secular bank? This is what we need courses on. And so the fundamental principles of fair dealing deal with all these issues in Islam. And this is what we will get if we want to have the secret to success. We want to have true peace in our lives. Well, it's time for us to take a break, and when we get back from the break, we will continue, inshallah.
All praise to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are talking about the principles or the fundamental principles of fair dealing in Islam. How to be fair in everything that we do. How we need to be trustworthy. How we need to be people who keep our promises. How we need to be people who are fair in justice. And how we need to be fair in financial dealings. These are very, very important. And I said before the break, where are all those conferences that we need to have worldwide in every village, in every town, in every community? We need to have conferences on how to have fair business practices. There are many, many Muslims who have money that they are dealing with that is not halal money, money that is not clean, because the dealings that they are doing are not Islamic practices. But that is a whole topic for another show. But we as Muslims need to be trustworthy. We need to be believable in the view of what the Quran expects of Muslims. We as Muslims have to be living examples of how the Quran is to be implemented into the lives of those people that we meet in our day-to-day dealings. The commandment in Islam, in the Quran, is to convey the word of Allah in a trustworthy manner, in the right manner that has been entrusted to us. We need to convey the truth of Islam in its entirety, not our version of Islam, but the truthful, the trustworthy, the complete manner. So this is the view that we have been given in the Quran. The command is to convey the truth of who Allah is, the trustworthy, the complete. And so we have been entrusted to give this truth to mankind many times in the Quran. We have to be people who turn people away from wrong and turn people towards what is right. And there are many different types of trust. Trust can be seen in many different ways. There can be trust in the way we give advice. Do people that trust the advice you give? You know, I often go to people and I say to them, I need some advice. And then they give me advice and say, no, I need advice that I can trust. You see, sometimes we go to the scholars and then we say to them, give me some advice. And they give you advice and you say, is this advice trustworthy? The hadith that you quoted, is it trustworthy? Is the explanation that you've given trustworthy? So when we ask for advice, it needs to be trustworthy. We need to trust the things that we do in our society, that what they are going to actually do are going to be successful. For example, we trust that when we vote, that the vote that we make is going to be secret, that nobody is going to expose our vote that we gave. Perhaps maybe you voted in an election and you believe and you've been told by your government that your vote is secret. You expect that to be true. And so we want to know that when we put our trust in our government, that our government is going to be honest, that they are going to be the type of people that they claim they're going to be in the elections. There are other types of trust that we have in society. We have a trust that when we take a loan, that we are going to be able to pay back those loans. We also have different types of trust that we have in our society, is that when our parents die, or perhaps when we die, that those who inherit will get what we said they should inherit, according to Islamic law. There are trusts in our wealth. There are trusts in the time that we spend in meetings. There are trusts that we have in office, in the way we deal with our business and the way we deal with our staff. There are many different types of trust in society. Then there are trusts that we put on our body, our physical trust that we have on our body. There are trusts that we put into our soul. There are trusts that we have to put into our children. What about the trust that we have to put in the deen of Islam, the trust that we have in the Quran, and the trust that we are supposed to have on our wealth? So there are many, many different types of trust that we already know in our lives. There are many trusts that we sometimes hope that will work out, that don't work out. And we don't want to be people who break any of these trusts. And we are commanded in the Quran to keep our words. We are commanded to be those people who keep their promises. We are commanded to be those people who do not break the truths that Allah has given. In other words, if Allah says to you, you must do it, you do it. You don't break those commands of Allah. You don't break His Sharia. You don't break His commands or laws. There are many types of promises. There are many types of oaths that we make. And we must be people who actually keep those oaths and promises. We need to keep the promises that we have been given, one, to ourselves, two, to those around us, to mankind, to those people that we meet in our day-to-day lives. But most important, we need to keep those promises that we make to Allah. The promises that we make to ourselves, that is the intention that we make to be more pious, the intention that we make to be repentant, the intention that we make to perform our salahs on time, the intention that we made to go and do dawah for a month, the intention that we made to go and help somebody to go on Hajj. That's the promises that we made to ourselves. What about the promises that we make to mankind, that we so easily make? I promise that I'm going to help you. Maybe we know a brother that's doing some Islamic work and we promise to help them financially every month. Have you kept that promise? When they came and spoke at your mosque, when they came and spoke at your community and you felt so determined to help them, did you make that contribution on a monthly basis that you said you were going to make? What about the written agreements that you made? The written agreements that you made with your employees? Are you late paying your employees his salary? You know, sometimes businessmen are the worst. We make our employees wait for months to pay them. Now, what type of promises are we keeping? So one is to keep your promise to oneself. Second is to keep promise to mankind, your employers and everything. But the most important promise is the promise that you make to Allah. There is no excuse for failing on that promise. There's one thing lying to yourself. It's one thing not paying your employees, but it's a totally different thing. When you do not keep your promise to Allah, that is the worst thing you can do. They say you can lie to yourself some of the time. You can lie to a lot of people a lot of the time. You can lie to Allah none of the time. Do not make promises that you cannot keep. And I often say, some people come to me and they say, Areeb, I'm having problems. I really, really want to stop smoking, but I don't know how to stop smoking. Or I really, really want to stop gambling, but I don't know how to stop gambling. Or I want to stop drinking, but I don't know how to stop drinking. And I always say to them, have you spoken to Allah? And they look at me like, what do you mean? I came to you. I ask them, have you spoken to Allah? Did you speak to Allah and say to him, oh Allah, I have no desire to stop smoking or drinking or gambling. I cannot stop smoking or drinking or gambling. That's why I'm calling upon you. I need your help. But we don't do that. We lie to Allah instead. And we say to Allah, I promise that I'm going to stop smoking. I promise that I'm going to stop drinking. I promise that I'm going to stop gambling. And then we break those promises that we made to Allah. Don't promise something that you cannot keep. first beseech Allah and be honest with Him and say, I don't know how to, I can't do this, I need your help. And then when Allah helps you, then you can have a purpose-driven promise that you make to Allah. Once you have stopped, you can say, Allah, thank you for helping me to stop this thing. And I promise to be the best Muslim I can be and not to go back to that thing that you have delivered me from, that you have helped me not go back to. So we need to be more honest with our prayers, more honest when we speak to Allah. We need to be obedient over a whole lifetime, not just only in certain times of the year, like when it comes to Ramadan, and we love to make promises during Ramadan. What about the rest of the year? Right now, right where you are, make that commitment that you are going to be a person who is going to keep your promises to yourself. Keep your promises to the people that you meet in your life. You're going to be a better employee. You're going to be a better worker. You're going to be a better businessman. And that the third thing, you're going to keep your promises and those things that you have said that you are going to do for Allah, that you will do them. And that for the best of your ability, you are going to make changes in your life. Don't be people who just make statements. Don't be a person who just says words emptily. We have a system in Islam which is made up of true justice. And true justice means that we have to be fair in everything we do. We have to be people that can be counted on for what we say we're going to do. We must be people with good moral character and good moral conduct. Well, this week we've looked at, in this specific episode, we've looked at a lot of issues dealing with ourselves, how we can change ourselves, and how Islam requires us to have a good character. There is so much more that I can talk about having a good character and having good dealings and how to be honest and how to keep our promises. There's so much more. You need to go and read more about this. Get books, speak to some of the scholars, get them to come to your community and talk about these specific issues in your communities so that you can gain more and you can be a better Muslim. Well, that's all the time we have for this. And inshallah, join me again next time, same place, same time on Peace TV. And we'll continue with this series on how to find the secrets of success in Islam. So for me, Areeb Islam, until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم.
Glory be to Allah, all praise to Allah. There is no God but Allah, Allah is great. All power and might belong to Allah, the Most High, the Great. Subhanallah.